What's up, folks? I'm sorry about the delay. I had some family stuff to attend to. But take a listen as I try to set the mood to get into this discussion. I'm kind of doing this off the cusp. It's been weighing heavy on my heart to get in here and really do this. I've been trying for 2 days, but every time I would try, get a little emotional. So sit back, relax, take in the music, and I'll be right with you. What up, folks, and those of you just joining me here on this channel? As the title says, why successful men should stay out of the streets. Look no further than the black community nearest you or in the recent news. Now, what we've seen over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever, we've seen a rapper by the name of Takeoff who was murdered. I'm saying murdered because whether accidental or not, a man is dead. So we really have to examine that. While it's unfortunate that he's gone, and my condolences and shout out to his, my condolences go to his family. But this has got to stop. Too many people are gone because of stupid street-ish. Seriously. Stupid street stuff, right? Like, how many examples do you need before anybody gets it? Like, what do you have to prove? When I was younger, the sentiment went, if you can make it out the hood, you're doing well. Now you got folks who make it out the hood and then they come right back. It doesn't make sense to me. Because if the hood is the bottom, why would you go back to visit the bottom? What do you have to prove to anybody at the bottom? And let's be honest, the black community is at the bottom. Of all communities, even the Mexicans or Spanish speaking peoples, they can manage to pull their shit together long enough to make something of themselves. But it's a different story in the black community. It's like a race to the bottom. You make it out, and I don't know what this sentiment is that you have to come back just to show folks you made it. You don't have to do that. You're a freaking celebrity. We can see you on rap videos. We see you all in the magazines, all over the media. You ain't got nothing to prove. You made it out, and you can stand as a shining light to the rest of everybody else that you can make it out. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. My only feeling about the situation, because I felt like the same situation happened to me. And one of the unspoken rules, very unspoken rules of the black community, is once you make it out, you can't go back. But nobody ever says anything about that. I had to figure it out on my own. A little bit about me is that doing the same old stuff over and over and over, sitting on the block, having to look over your shoulder, getting shot at, and I was on the, what I would consider the outskirts of the game. I wasn't fully immersed in it. I still went to school. I still kept my grades up. I did just enough to get by so that I wouldn't have to worry about nobody bothering me. Because it was like a badge of honor to be immersed in the game and to quit school and run the streets with everybody else. And it's sad. We're the only community that does that. Where your best and brightest are shunned, but the stupid and dangerous are upheld. Crazy, right? I mean, at the age I am now, at the age of 40, it defies all logic that we still have to deal with this. You're talking almost 40 years of the same old stuff. And when I felt the need to return to the streets to show everybody um, what I've become and what I've done, I realize now that that was stupid as hell. At the age of 17, when I realized looking up and down the block that everybody was doing the same thing, going to house parties here and there, chasing chicks around the neighborhood, getting into stupid stuff, like I said, looking over your shoulder, watching for people looking for you or whatnot, getting into fights. I realized how stupid that was. I realized it I've known this for a long time. But at the age of 17, I decided to do something different. I decided to change my circumstance. I decided that I was going to try something that would kind of be looked at sideways. Now, what I know about my parents is that they met in the Army. So immediately that piqued my interest. I get to play with guns, go to foreign lands, and so forth. Experience the world, travel. My parents met in the military, like I said. They got married, had us, me and my brother, and I believe my sister as well. And they made a family. I was like, well, let me try that blueprint out. And that's what I did. So I got the hell up out of there. Baltimore is not a good place to raise children. It's overall not a good place to be. A lot of people talk about it like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's really not if you were on the street level. Going hungry, eating fucking cake frosting just to have a meal is not the way to go. But when I left, I went to basic training, then AIT, which is advanced individual training. They sent us back for hometown recruiting to see if we can pull in some more of our folks. You go to your high school, you talk to your friends and family about joining and all the great things you've done so far, even though you haven't done much. But that's what I did. And the few people that I associated with myself with acted like I was a damn foreigner. They acted like they didn't want to talk to me. And then when I talked to my brother about it, he was like, yeah, man, like, yo, dudes is mad at you because you left. I kind of paraphrasing what he says. I'm trying not to use the N word. I haven't used it in a number of years, but They were mad at me because I left. Because I decided I wanted better for myself. See, they didn't have the courage to do something drastic to get out of the situation that they were in. As I mentioned, looking over your shoulder, worrying about folks trying to take something from you, getting robbed, you know, getting a gun shoved in your face, you know, every here and there, getting handled by the police. That ain't it. There's more to life than just that, and I refuse to believe it. Even back then, I guess you can say I'm a Gen Xer on the edge of millennials, because I graduated high school in 2000. And even then, I decided that this was not it. I didn't want anything more to do with the streets than what I've already been involved in. I had a few friends who went to prison, literal prison, while we were teenagers, over drugs, one over domestic violence. I mean, I clearly saw the writing on the wall that if I didn't change something, I would be just like them. I had a friend of mine go to jail when we were in high school, and now we are grown men in our 30s when he was released. And I happened to see it on Facebook. I'm long gone by that point. Every now and then I hear rumblings of people asking about me, in which I don't even reply. My brother's the one letting me know, because I don't keep in touch with those people I used to associate with back in the day. They're associates for a reason. The best friends that I ever gained were in the military, because they were down for whatever. They had your back. They even call and check on me to this day, which is a lot more than what I can say for the people I actually went through childhood with, because of that stigma. Once you leave, you're an outsider, which is crazy to me, because I'm still somewhat the same guy. I'm still the same guy who threw punches with you, watched your back, and everything else. But they'll swear that I changed. And Jay-Z said something similar in one of his songs. They'll swear that you changed, like you're not down for the cause or whatnot. And in some respects, I'm not down for going to jail over stupid shit. But right. I get it. Now, how does all this relate to the Takeoff situation? It's all related, because it's the same thing. Many of us have the same story over and over and over. We've heard it. Somebody being successful, coming back, and they coming back to bite them in the ass. Now, Takeoff didn't deserve what happened to him, but this should serve as a warning to everyone else that once you leave the cesspool that we call the black community, don't go back. Don't go back. There's nothing in the streets for you. Absolutely nothing. You can see the outcomes of what happens when you're on that bottom level. And we see it. And give me a second. I almost forgot that I'm supposed to be playing some music in the background to kind of drown out some of the noise, because I know you can hear my PC. That's a sidebar real quick. Seriously. If you don't expect more out of yourself, then who else is going to do it for you? And as the title says, why successful men should stay out of the streets. Everybody should ask themselves that question. Nothing good comes out of the streets. Most folks die in the streets. That's the only extreme end, or you end up worse. I mean, really think about it. Hang on, let me cue up this music real quick. But you really got to think about it. What do you want in life? A lot of times I hear the manosphere, which I consider myself a part of, catch flack for always hating on women and this, that, and the third. That is one component of it. But to say that all of us just, you know, hate women and so forth, it's bullshit. It's straight up bullshit. Because on the flip side of that, that's only maybe 25% of what the problem is, even though it's the most vocalized. But the problem is men teaching other young men the game before they get caught by it. It's really that simple. I mean, I can end the video right now and not say another word, but it's really that simple. But what gets in the way just happens to be women. I'll give you an example. If you were ever a coach for a little league team, you would see that if you talk to certain people's sons a certain way to motivate them and to correct them, you have their mother step in and say something. And it totally throws everything off. Because life is not, easy for young men at all. In fact, I will say that men have it harder in this world because there's no safety nets, nobody coming to save you or do anything for you if you find yourself in trouble. Yeah, your mom can come by and try to help you out as best she can, but she's also limited. Where a preventative measure would have been for another man to teach this person not to do that in the first place. But in today's society, people, rebel against the truth. And they love the lies. It's a really crazy phenomenon that's most predominantly seen in the black community. You're starting to see it filter out into the rest of main society, and they're scrambling trying to figure it out. But y'all let this thing go for so long, it's almost impossible to put it back. It's almost impossible to put it back. So what do you do? What do you do? I don't really have an answer for that one. But check out this music from Upbeat. So we're going to run that in the background while we talk. But jumping back to the discussion here, why successful men should stay out of the streets. I consider myself a success. The bar is real low for being successful and coming out of the streets for real, coming out of the hood. It really is super low. Because all you got to do is go to work and stay out of trouble, and you're doing more for the black community than anybody else is. Because you get a lot of celebrities and politicians, you get a lot of celebrities and politicians, running around poking their chests out, talking about all they do, but you don't see the results of it. But that hardworking individual that goes to work every day and stays out of trouble is not padding the stats of everything that's being talked about in the media. He's doing more than them because there's more of that person than anyone else. More of that person than the amount of dollars you can throw around to say you did this and that and the 30. And I'm sorry, that and the third. Shout out to BLM. BLM took in so much money, and what did they do with the money? What do they do with it? We have yet to see where that money has gone. And before it's all said and done, a lot of them folks are going to be in prison for embezzlement. That is my prediction. I mean, seriously. But why men should stay out of the streets? It's real simple. Because you have a lot to lose. What sense does it make to make yourself something only to go back around the same folks who don't have anything and lose it all? On the low end, you're back to square one, right where you started. On the high end, you're going to prison or you're going in the ground. It's just that simple. When you have, and here's my real thoughts on the whole Takeoff situation. Dude, between all of them and everybody at that party, anybody who is of any type of status going around people who don't have it, you have enough money. And I realize this watching the lotto winners, and I used to binge watch Where Are They Now, like talking about the people that won the lottery, is that you now not suddenly, but you possess the ability to change the lives of a lot of people around you. So, of course, they're going to gravitate to you, whether it be friends, families, or enemies. Okay? So, with that said, these folks are looking at you real good. They got their eyeballs on you. You can change their life in an instant. You're walking around with jewelry on that's worth more than the average person will see in their lifetime. So you got to think. The envy, the greed, all that comes into play. And they're looking at you like a damn snack, a meal even. Because if they just snatch this damn chain from around your neck, they're going to be set. Whatever situation they're going to be in, because there's more of us struggling than not struggling. So if they snatch that damn chain from around your neck, they can go feed their family. If they take that watch off your wrist, they can survive eviction. I mean, simple stuff like that. Why do you go around? You don't see any other type of person going around folks that don't have anything. The wealthiest of the wealthy have security, and they only surround themselves with people of similar status. Even though folks don't need the money, they're still cautious. If you believe that money is the root of all evil, and its cousin is greed, then you should understand this. I wouldn't be caught dead going back around the folks I used to know because my status is higher than theirs. It would have to be in a controlled environment. These guys were at a damn bowling alley, gambling outside of it. And if you know anything about dice games and house parties, those are the two most dangerous places for a man to be. I got friends who didn't even make it through. I got friends that when I came back for hometown recruiting, or HRAP to be short, Went to a house party. 2 of them didn't leave alive. And I know there's many brothers out here that got similar stories behind going to house parties and there being a big stupid ass fight. And that was the end of it. That was the end of it. Never to be seen again. Hell, my cousin was supposed to join the military when I joined. And he decided not to go. When I went off 2 weeks after I went off the basic training, he was killed in the streets. How many more brothers got to go the same way before y'all get it? Once you elevate yourself, you got to shrink your circle and keep only certain people around you. That's it. There's no science to it. Why do you think when people get money, they move to gated communities? Because you can't live in the hood and everybody else is like a foot or two away from you and they're doing bad and they see how well you're doing. They're going to get jealous. They're going to want to do something to you. If people are setting up their own spouses and family members so they can collect insurance, what makes you think that the average person, that the regular person out here in the street ain't going to do something to you? Now, I'm not saying do all this to be scared, but you have to protect yourself at all times. No matter where I go, I keep my pistol with me. No matter where I go. I don't care if it's lawful or unlawful. You will never know I have it unless I need to present it to somebody. That's it. I'll deal with the consequences later. But protect yourself at all times. You know, and I'm thankful that I did take my ass off to the military, because I realized that when I tell folks about the experiences I've had, they don't understand how really big and complicated the world really is. Is that there are people who hate your guts just because you're an American. So when you go to these other countries, and a lot of people are oblivious to it. So you go to these other countries, they don't tell you that there's a bunch of folks out here that want to kill you just because you wave an American flag. And you could be in tourism spots. There are people out there gunning for you. They're watching what you do. It may not be you, but it may be the person behind you, because they have some of the same mannerisms. Just like when you go to New York, for instance, they know how to spot a terrorist and they'll whip out them, not a terrorist, but they know how to spot a tourist and they're quick to pull out that damn briefcase. They're damn good at it. Pull out that damn briefcase, try to sell you a bunch of shit because you don't know any better. I had this experience with we took a high school trip. I had this experience because half my family is from New York. I told them, like, if somebody pop up on you with a briefcase, don't buy it. It's all fake. And guess what they didn't do? They didn't listen. And a couple of them walked out of there with Rolexes that tick. $25 here, $30 there. Out they money. Off some street hustle. But just know, if you have gained so much, you have a lot more to lose. It's nothing for somebody on the street level to bring you down to their level. Everybody had to start off on the bottom. If you're black, most of us had to start off on the bottom. And there's some people out there that would love to see you do nothing more than return to the bottom. They don't care. This is why you got to vet people, surround yourself with good folks, positive people who are going in the same direction that you're going. Because you don't want to be that guy who wants to return to the streets and end up like Takeoff did. You know what I'm saying? I hate that I have to use this as a teaching lesson, but he's the most recent lesson of things going on in the streets. And you got to learn from it. You have to learn from it. There's no way around it. All right, now if you're watching, folks, please stop by, hit the like button, type something in the chat for me, because I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep bringing common sense, because like I think this is what the manosphere is lacking. I really do. But give me a second. I'm gonna take a quick commercial, non-commercial break, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So let me switch some things around real quick, because I need to show y'all this screen. I'm gonna get into this story of what's going on. This is from TMZ. I think I've rambled on long enough, but we need to discuss what's going on with this story, okay? So in the article it reads, Takeoff. 1/3 of Migos is dead at the early morning shooting in Houston. Now this was posted on The 1st, okay? It's posted on the 1st. Law enforcement sources, multiple witnesses tell us that the incident went down shortly at 2:30 a.m. Now, think about this for a second. I was always told that there's nothing open or nothing good going on. Nothing open after 12 but legs. And nothing good going on as well. Every time I've gotten into some shit growing up was because it was after 12 o'clock and we were out where we shouldn't have been. I mean, that's the absolute truth. We're told Takeoff and Quavo were there playing dice. You're playing dice. You're a multi-millionaire playing dice with the locals. Now, this is something I didn't hear anybody say yet on any other channel. But the guy who is less than thinking he about to make a come up. So if he takes your money, no harm, no foul, right? You know, you'll make it back. You drop a single or whatever, you'll make it 10 times over. This guy, this is all he has. But you take his money, he gonna feel some type of way because you don't need his money. And if we're in the middle of a dice game, and I'm like, you know what? Be a good sport. You know, you got millions of dollars in the bank. Just give him his money back. And that'd be that. That probably didn't happen. But we don't know all the details of what happened during this dice game. But like I said before, anything that happens at a dice game is not good. I've seen so many dice games get robbed. I've seen people shot at over dice games. Yeah, nothing good comes out of it. Okay? Nothing good ever comes out of it. And then you see a picture here. This is Takeoff. You know, on the ground and everyone trying to help him. But without any type of training or anything, supposedly he was hitting the head. It was probably a wrap at that point. You gotta understand that a bullet in the head is pretty much there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, people have survived it. If you keep all the other vitals going, people can survive it. But it's highly unlikely. So here's TMZ again, the culture vultures themselves, with more obtained footage showing what happened in the carnage that ensued at the 2:30 a.m. 2 other people were shot and taken to the hospital in private vehicles. Now, it's a sad state of affairs in the world where it's cheaper. You got to make the God-honest decision to either take an ambulance or throw somebody in your car and bleed on your seats. This is how bad our society has gotten because it costs too much. I would have called an ambulance. Ain't nothing like a highly trained paramedic to help you out of a jam. I'm just saying. Just a couple hours before the shooting, Takeoff posted a pic of himself lighting up at the bowling alley. Quavo posted a video several hours earlier as he drove around Houston with Jay Prince, fuck that guy, who was celebrating his birthday. Shit, man. Sorry I keep skipping around and stuff. I would play the video, but you know, TMZ has a way of copyright striking people's videos for even showing anything, even though you claim fair use. Matter of fact, let me throw my disclaimer up here while I'm thinking about it. Go ahead and hit him with the where is it? Where's my fair use? Fair use disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes of such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, let's jump back to where we were. Get that out of the way because I don't need to test my internet because I know the stream is looking pretty good right now. Let's see. They came together as a group in 2008 in Georgia. Multi-platinum hit makers. which is again another reason why your ass shouldn't be out there with the locals, especially in a city that you don't know, that you're not from. Now, you can get away with this in Atlanta. I could probably get away with this in Baltimore to a certain extent because, motherfuckers is grimy out there. But you can't keep, you got to be weary of the company you keep. You have to be wary of the company you keep. There's a reason why rich men do not associate themselves with trailer park trash. There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. There's no excuse for it. You don't have anything to gain from hanging out with people who are less than. Because the entire time they're going to be looking at you like, oh, this could be my next lick. Like, oh, he got this right here. If he fall asleep, I'm taking everything off of him. If he pass out drunk, I'm going to get in his pockets. 28 years old. And I know people that, younger than this who lost their lives, but they are nowhere near worth as much as this man. That is wealth that is lost over senseless violence. And I hope they catch the individual that shot him. Allegedly, the guy that shot him has, come up dead, rather. Allegedly. I mean, even if that is true. But all of this could be prevented if one simple thing happened. You stay the hell away from the local Negroes. I mean, it's that simple. Stay away from them. I don't actually, no, let me not tell a lie, okay? My official stance on the community is this. I would rather watch it burn and start over than to fix the current situation. Again, I would rather watch it burn than to stick around and try to correct the current situation. Young men, you have been warned. Let this be a lesson to you. 28 years old, he's gone. I want to say one of the things I seen said his net worth was 35 million or something like that. Money that could have changed the course of his family, gone. Now it's going to be tied up in probate for however long till his mama get it. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think he has any children. So when stuff like that happens, if you don't know anything about probate and stuff like that, they got to fight through the court system to get access to that money. So it may be a while before anybody in his family can even touch it, if they can get a hold of it. I mean, young men, if you become successful, what I would say is when you become successful, I'm not going to say if, you got to leave these folks alone. There's a wealth of information in the manosphere through folks like Angry Man, Jason Black, even though he doesn't consider himself part of the manosphere, Jada Black, even though he doesn't consider himself part of the manosphere. Let's see, who else do I got here? I'm drawing a blank right now. I had it on the tip of my tongue. So there is a wealth of information besides myself who can tell you that once you make it, when you make it, stay the hell away from these folks. You ever heard of the crab in a bucket thing, or the philosophy of the crab in the bucket? Somebody tried to spin this a little while ago, and I'm not going to give them any credit for that, saying that the crab pulled the other crabs, and the crabs pulled the other crab that tried to escape back in the bucket because they need each other to survive, which is bullshit. Because if you've ever seen crabs in the ocean, they're pretty much loners until it's time to mate. So that is bullshit. Now, when it comes to actual crabs in the bucket, when you're trying to put them on the table, and one gets the bright idea to try to climb out, they pull them all back in. They don't want to be left behind. It's the same thing with friends and family, close associates, even people at your job. You have to watch who you're around, or else they're going to pull you back down. And that's the issue I have with the Takeoff situation. Y'all didn't have to be out there. Y'all could have stayed inside the private party. Y'all could have kept doing your thing. I'm sure they probably had security. But outside of the venue is where the bullshit happened. And those men got to live with that. Life is serious. It's not a game. The streets ain't playing with nobody. Once you get claimed by the streets, it's damn near impossible to get out. But one thing holds true. If you stay on the good path, you walk that path, don't look left or right, and keep going, forging your way forward, you're going to be all right. You may end up with unfortunately, some people think that a mediocre life is not worth living. And I disagree. A mediocre life, a quiet life, ain't nothing like when it's quiet. You see what's coming and going. There are no surprises. And there's always a greater possibility of leading to a better life. As long as you stay on the straight and narrow. It's tough sometimes. But you take it from me. The tough road is not always the easiest road. But it's always the right thing to do. You could live with yourself if you walked forward, live by your code and the code that I'm a issue and try to teach here. You would feel a whole lot better about yourself and how you lived your life. But if you took a few lefts and rights and you hit the fork in the road and went down the wrong path, you're going to live with nothing but regret, as many of my friends have. Nothing but regret. I mean, what do you do with that? Seriously. What good is a life of regret? Oh, now I remember one other channel I wanted to point you to was Green Gorilla. Look him up on YouTube. All right. But you really have to take care of yourself out here. And I want nothing but young men to do is to really evaluate the folks that's around them and pick and choose. Now, the gynocracy doesn't like this because men are waking up and taking accountability for their lives and molding their lives a certain way and excluding folks who would normally take advantage of them. And I think that's a good thing. Like my step pops used to tell me, like, there's a sucker born every minute. You don't want to be that sucker because you're going to get licked. Shout out to Danica Marie. You definitely don't want to get licked. Somebody got to win. Somebody got to lose. You just make sure you're on that winning team when it happens. And I think there's more room for winners than there are losers. Because the losers are going to sort themselves out. The inadequate people are going to sort themselves out. You just don't take yourself down to their level. You don't deal with those types of people. And I know it sounds messed up when I phrase it the way I've been speaking in the last hour or so, but that's just reality. You think Bill Gates would get anywhere if he hung out with the trailer, like Let's say he had a couple buddies who were in the trailer park. You think he would have made it as far as he has had he kept hanging out with the same people? If people ain't on the same path or trajectory that you're going on, leave them alone. It's really simple. Hell, I did it. I had tons of friends try to tell me that, oh, you going to the military, you're going to end up in a war. See, they were operating out of fear. And yes, they were right to a certain point. Yes, I did end up in Iraq 3 times. You know, some of the experience I loved and a lot of it I hated. I'm forever changed because I've seen what human beings are capable of and how they don't give a shit about you over their cause. I think that was the hardest part to deal with, was that there are men willing to die to take you out over their beliefs. Now, I'm just wondering why that same energy isn't instituted in the black community. Why are y'all not willing to take it there to improve the community, but you're willing to take it there to destroy the community? You're willing to put your life on the line over disrespect and women and gaining pseudo respect from people who don't have anything. You're willing to do all that where that energy could be used to better the community. This is exactly why I consider myself a villain. Hear me now and listen well. I am the villain of the manosphere. Since you hate the truth so much, hate me, damn it. Hate me for what I'm saying. Hate me for telling the truth. But I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to stop saying it. I'm a married man, 22-year veteran. Even my wife gets a little riled up when I start speaking the truth, but even eventually she comes to her senses. She'll tell me, yeah, you were right. I'm not saying I'm not ever wrong, but what I am saying is that when I speak the truth, I've thought about it, I've vetted it out, I've argued it on both sides, within myself, written it down, researched the opposing points. That's what I do. So if I'm going to be the villain, I'm going to give you the business, as Jason Black says. You're going to get the business out of me. That's all you're going to expect on this channel. I'm going to get it to you straight up.
Hey, this is Sancho, and this one goes out to all.
Hang on, let me mute this for a second. This shit is stupid. But, seriously, I think more young men need to think about where they're going. And before I go, I need to touch on the situation. I'm not going to name no names or drop, any personal information, but let me say this. When you got people in your corner, I get it. Emotions run high, and sometimes when things don't go your way, you can get blinded by your anger and you take it out on the wrong folks. But what I want you to do is go back and look at the messaging from those people and really think about the conversations you had with those people, okay? Because you may not realize at the time that you were in the wrong, or maybe you have misunderstood what was being said to you. I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure a lot of people are guilty of it. When somebody tells you some good shit and you get offended by it, only to later to realize, oh, well, maybe they were right. Please make sure that you go back and talk to those folks and apologize. You're not showing that you're less than or that you're a bitch of some sort by apologizing, but some people genuinely have your best interests in mind, okay? And I hope that the individual that I'm speaking through you to hears this message one day and understand that as a man who has completely changed his ways, came out of the street culture, I don't want to see anybody else struggle the same way I have. It pains me to see people struggle when they don't have the guidance that they needed to get through it. It really does bother me to my core because we have so many quote unquote adults running around claiming to know what the hell they're talking about, but they don't take the time to spend with their family members who may be struggling with an issue. Now, for this individual who I'm speaking through you to, there's no love lost. I have done more for other people than myself because I am a selfless person. It's one of the Army core values, selfless service. It can be adapted to everyone in your life, to include the folks, extended friends and family. To me, I get great joy out of helping people through life, but there's also a limit to it. I don't tolerate disrespect, especially when everyone else is showing you their ass, but you hang on to those people. I have nothing to gain or anything to lose except a little bit of joy. And if that is a crime, I guess I'm guilty of it. It warms my heart to see a young man take a little bit of the advice, just a little bit of the advice that I've given and applied it to themselves and become successful. It's almost like the proud dad to see their son take something they taught them and excel with it. It's the same feeling because I have two sons myself. I know what that's like. But to this individual, I wish you well. Good luck on your future endeavors. I hope that everything works out for you. And just know that I had your best interest in mind. It was just part of the reason why I did this live stream. When you become successful, stay the hell out of the streets. Stay away from people who don't serve the same interests as you do. And develop your own code of how you're going to conduct yourself and your family and stand by it. I will support you wholeheartedly in whatever you do. And I'm also speaking to my sons. And I will tell you about that situation eventually. Because I was robbed of the opportunity to finish developing my sons. And we'll talk about that in another video. But seriously, young men, there are some older men out here who have your best interests in mind. And you can figure that out real easy by looking at what they've told you versus the results if you follow their advice. That's how you figure out and vet the older men around you to whether their advice is worth a damn. Even if the advice they give you fails a little bit and you see a modicum of success, continue to go under their wing because our society is not going to get any better if men completely check out. Okay? Damn what everybody else is doing, damn what the women are doing, whatever. Focus on those who you can save, those you can take with you, and leave everybody else behind. Just leave them. You can't save everybody. Even Superman couldn't save everybody. He had to flip around. He had to spin the world backwards to save Lois Lane in one movie. And you may think I'm crazy because that's a fictional movie, but there's some truth to some of the fiction that you see out here because a lot of the things that these older writers wrote into the books has come true. We're living in 1984. George Orwell was